Saturday morning in Lakewood Pines was supposed to be the kind of boring you pray for sun on the countertops, cheap vanilla candle burning my kid upstairs, grumbling at SAT math and me, in an oversized college sweatshirt, bare feet on cool tile, scrolling the news with one hand and holding a chipped mug of coffee in the other. From the street, I looked like any other black single mom who'd finally made it onto a quiet cul-de-sac, you know what I mean. No motorcades, no suits, just a woman in a messy bun waiting for cinnamon rolls to finish in the oven. What nobody on that street could see, including the guys sitting in a van 2 blocks away, was that the woman in that kitchen also happened to be director of the FBI. On paper, that sounds dramatic, but in real life it means a lot of meetings, a lot of worrying about other people's emergencies, and not a lot of slow Saturday mornings, so I guarded those mornings hard. Maya yelled from upstairs, "If I miss one more question, I'm dropping out and starting a food truck," and I yelled back, "Baby, do both." That's called a diversified portfolio, and she laughed, and for a minute life felt small and soft and safe. The security panel chimed once, motion at the front gate. I glanced at it, saw a blur, probably a delivery. I raised my mug for another sip, and the front door exploded inward. The sound hit first like a car crash inside the house, then the door folded wood and metal, flying my mug, slipping out of my hand and shattering across the tile. Hot coffee splashing my legs as a line of bodies in black gear poured through the doorway like they'd rehearsed it for weeks. Police hands where we can see them get on the ground now. They shouted over each other, rifles up, red dots sweeping across framed school pictures and the crooked family calendar on the wall. For half a second, my brain tried to label it as some old raid video, something I'd seen in a briefing, not my hallway. And then one word cut through everything. Maya. She was upstairs in her pajamas in a room with glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling, and now there were boots pounding up the stairs toward her. I went for the staircase on instinct, and a man in tactical gear moved into my path so fast it felt like he'd grown out of the floor, rifle pointed square at my chest. "Ma'am, do not move." 30 years in law enforcement training kicked in. Hands up, fingers spread, voice low and clear, don't argue with adrenaline and rifles. And I did all of that. But under the training, there was another voice I never get to ignore. "You are a black woman barefoot in a nice house surrounded by armed strangers who don't know who you are." Upstairs, a door slammed open and my daughter screamed, not a cute little yelp, but that deep tearing sound that makes your own chest tighten even if you don't have kids. "Mom." "There is a minor in this house," I said, forcing my voice to stay steady. "My daughter is upstairs. She is not armed. You are terrifying her." A younger officer, Latino hands visibly shaking around his rifle, barked, "Ma'am, get on the ground, face down, hands out," like somebody had pressed play on his training tape. So I lay down on my own kitchen floor in that old sweatshirt cheek on cold tile, coffee burning my skin, watching boots thunder past my face toward the stairs, while everything in me screamed to get up there and put my body between my kid and their guns. Outside, I could hear car doors, neighbors shouting, someone saying, "That's Lauren's house, what are they doing?" And over all of it, Mr. Hahn's tiny dog barking like the world was ending. The officer positioned closest to me stepped into my line of sight. Black man, late 30s, lieutenant stripes on his vest, jaw clenched so tight the muscle jumped. "Name," he snapped. "Dr. Lauren Pierce," I said. "This is my house. You've got the wrong one." He didn't lower his weapon. He keyed his radio. "Control Unit 12, confirm high-risk warrant at 3117 Oak Ridge Lane. Target Leah Price. Black female, mid-30s, suspected firearms trafficking, possible terror ties." The dispatcher answered without missing a beat. "Affirmative, Unit 12, high-risk approach with extreme caution." Lying there on my own floor, feeling my heart pound against the tile, I repeated the name in my head. Leah, not Lauren. Someone had changed a couple of letters and handed these men permission to treat my kitchen like a war zone. Upstairs, Maya screamed again, higher this time. "Mom, I can't breathe," and something in me just snapped. I pushed up to my elbows and 3 rifles swung toward me in perfect unison. "I am going to my daughter," I said, voice low but steady. "She is having a medical emergency. You can shoot me in front of your body cams and my neighbors' phones if that's what you want the world to see, or you can move." The young officer flinched like I'd hit him. The lieutenant cursed under his breath. Before anyone decided which bad choice to make, another voice cut in from the shattered doorway. "What the hell is going on in here?" Older white guy, Captain Barr's permanent squint of someone who expects to be obeyed, stepped over. What used to be my door took in the scene. Me on the floor, rifles up, neighbors already filming on their lawns. and you could practically see him doing PR math in his head. "We have 2 subjects secured, Captain," the lieutenant said quickly. "Scene not fully cleared, warrant confirmed." "Captain," who I asked because I like to know who I'm about to drag into a report. "Foster," he snapped, "and you are—" "The woman whose house you just blew open on a bad warrant." I said, "My name is Dr. Lauren Pierce, and I am the director of the FBI." The room went still. You could hear the helicopter outside. For a heartbeat, even I heard how ridiculous it sounded saying that sentence while barefoot on my own kitchen floor with coffee soaking into my socks. Foster tried to recover. "Anybody can claim to be FBI, ma'am. We'll need proof." "Perfect," I told him. "Then you're going to escort me upstairs, or you're going to send one of your officers, and they're going to come back with a badge and an ID card with my face on it that outranks everyone in this room. Starting with you." One of the officers, Morales Latina, the only woman I'd seen in that stack, shifted her weight, eyes flicking toward the stairs where my kid was still crying. "Sir, the girl upstairs is hyperventilating," she said quietly. "She's asking if her mom is dead. This doesn't look like what we were briefed. No weapons in plain sight, no fortifications. It looks like a family." Outside, someone shouted, "You're live." "I've got thousands watching." And another voice yelled, "Smile, you're on camera," and you could feel the whole room tighten as everyone realized this was already out of their control. Foster leaned toward his lieutenant and, thinking he was subtle, muttered, "We can't walk away from this with nothing. Andre, not with this many eyes on us." The younger officer went pale. Morales stared at the floor like she wanted it to open. And for me, years of families telling me that something just appeared in their house during searches suddenly snapped into place because I was hearing the moment where a mistake starts reaching for a cover story. I locked eyes with Foster. "Captain, if you keep digging through this house knowing your paperwork has the wrong name and the wrong address, that is not procedure. That is a federal civil rights violation and an attempt to manufacture probable cause on camera. You are not ready for that fight with me." That was enough for Morales. "I'll take her up," she said, already moving toward the stairs. No one stopped us. When we stepped into Maya's room, I had to take a breath before I spoke. My daughter was on the carpet, wrists zip-tied back against her bed, breathing in short, sharp bursts. Calculus books still open on the mattress. Posters hanging crooked where strangers' hands had shoved past. Hey, baby. It's me," I said, dropping to my knees. "Look at me. Remember our breathing. In through your nose. Hold out through your mouth. You are safe. I'm here." "They pointed a gun at my face," she choked out. "They kept asking where you kept the weapons. I told them you don't have any. They wouldn't tell me if you were alive, I thought." And she couldn't finish. "I know what you thought," I told her, "and I am so sorry you had to sit with that." While I talked, my hand went to the top drawer of her nightstand where I'd dropped my credential case the night before. Black leather, heavier than it looks. I flipped it open and held it so Morales could see. Gold badge hologram, my face, my name. That one word at the bottom, director. Morales stared at it like it might burn her fingers. She looked from the badge to me to Maya in her oversized hoodie with tear tracks on her cheeks to the homework on the bed. "Oh my God," she whispered. "We really did this." "Yeah," I said quietly. "You really did." I cut the zip tie from my kid's wrists, got her breathing under control, then handed Morales the credentials. "You have a choice," I told her. "You can help your captain spin this, or you can walk that badge downstairs and tell the truth. Only one of those options lets you look at yourself in 10 years. You know what I mean." She swallowed, nodded, and took the case like it weighed 100 pounds. By the time I followed her downstairs, the living room looked like a press conference waiting to happen. The mayor was there. 2 city attorneys had appeared out of nowhere. The police chief stood near the window looking like he'd swallowed a bag of nails. News crews were clustered at the broken doorway. My neighbors were pressed up against yellow tape, some angry, some crying, all watching. Morales set my badge and ID on the coffee table. "It's real," she said. "She is who she says she is." The chief started talking about confusion and miscommunication. One of the lawyers said the word regrettable. I lifted a hand. "This is not confusion," I said. "This is a no-knock raid at the wrong house with the wrong name on the paperwork on a black family eating breakfast, followed by your captain saying he can't leave without something while half the neighborhood films. You didn't just scare us. You proved every complaint my office has seen about this department." Right then, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I put it on speaker. "Director, this is Agent Garcia," he said. "We got your emergency alert. Rapid response team is en route with evidence techs and civil rights prosecutors. Do you require tactical support? Every local officer in the room went still. No tactical. I set eyes on Foster and the chief. The only rifles in this house belong to your people. But yes to everything else. Treat this as what it is, a federal civil rights scene. Every body cam, every radio call, every neighbor's video, preserve it. In the weeks that followed, the twist came out. The federal agent who had called this department with detailed intel, who knew their joint operations and their budget problems, who pushed a warrant with the wrong name and the right amount of fear, didn't exist in our system. But the access he'd used to pull that information came straight from inside my building, from the login of my deputy director, a man named Randall Cole, who had sat next to me in briefings, shaken my hand on camera, and quietly hated that the job he wanted went to a black woman. When leaks and petty sabotage didn't push me out, he went bigger. Point a dirty warrant at a department with a bad record, let their worst instincts play out live, and hope the scandal took me down. They picked him up at a motel off the highway with a bag of cash and a ticket to a country we don't extradite from. And yes, I sat across from him in the interrogation room. He talked about real leadership, said I'd politicized the bureau, blamed culture wars like they had strapped on body armor, and kicked my door in. I let him talk himself in circles. Then I slid a photo across the table, my front door off its hinges, my daughter on the floor with zip tie marks on her wrists, neighbors outside with phones raised. And I said, "You didn't just come after my job. You aimed the system we swore to protect at a 16-year-old girl sitting in her own bedroom. Whatever story you tell yourself about why you did it, that's who you are." In the end, officers were charged. Some went to prison, some cooperated, and now stand in front of recruits explaining exactly how just doing your job can turn into a federal indictment. The department went under federal oversight. Policies changed on paper and slowly on the street. My quiet little cul-de-sac learned how to show up. Food on our porch, neighbors at hearings, teenagers who used to wave from a distance now sitting at my table asking Maya how she's really doing. My daughter turned that morning into fuel, standing in front of lawmakers and describing exactly what it feels like to have a gun in your face in your own house, helping push through new limits on no-knock warrants in our state. People ask if I feel safe there now, if we thought about moving, if I regret not hiding behind some different set of gates. I tell them this safety isn't just locks and cameras. It's knowing that when someone with power gets it wrong, they don't get to quietly write confusion in a report and walk away. That morning in my kitchen forced people in my town to stop saying it could never happen here and admit it already had to their neighbor, to the woman they waved at while taking out their trash. So I want to turn it to you, if you didn't know my title, if all you saw was a black mom in a sweatshirt on her kitchen floor, coffee on her skin, rifles in her face, her kids screaming upstairs, would you still say they were just doing their job? Do you think the people who weaponized the whole system out of their own resentment got what they deserved too much? Not enough? And how many families like mine do you think never see this kind of accountability? Because nobody in their house has a fancy badge. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Argue with me. Tell me if you think I was too harsh or too forgiving, or share a time when you saw power get it completely wrong. And if you believe stories like this matter, if you think they make even one person pause before shrugging off the next wrong door headline, hit like, hit subscribe, send this to that friend who still says that stuff doesn't happen in good neighborhoods, and let's talk about what justice ought to look like when the people with the keys and the guns finally get held to the same standard as the rest of us.